You know, we're just talking in the break. I said it's interesting how none of us have brought up Robert Gates' new book.
Because the only thing interesting about it is his unbelievable hypocrisy. I mean,
well, hang on. Let me give the story. He is slamming Vice President Biden. Mm-hmm. He says he nearly quit. He said Hillary and the president's opposition to the surge, they admitted to him, was purely political, and that they were only making political calculations. He said he was standing in horror listening to them say these things. Now he's got a new book out.
Yeah, where were you, you miserable worm, when all this was going on and you were carrying out those policies? Where were you then? They used you as a shield. Well, we've got Robert Gates. He's from the Bush administration. Guys, a Republican. He's a conservative. Look, he likes our policies. Is that right, Robert? Yeah, I like the policies. Pretty good. Oh, now that he can make money off it and write a book about it and stab everybody in the back after the fact, now he's got a problem with it. Well, where were you then? Where were you then?
Yeah, because remember,
I think all of this stuff is changing now. I think you used to be able to get away with a tell-all book to where, you know, I'm going to wait and tell everybody, you know, blah blah blah, but you have to explain why you didn't say it then.
Yeah, where were you?
Where were you? Why didn't you say it then?
He does say he almost quit a bunch of times.
Almost is not.
No, it's not good enough.
Not good enough.
It's not good enough.
Especially when he was used as a shield for these policies.
Yes, you should have quit. If you were being used as a shield, quit and then say what you had to say. Nobody expects you, I guess, while you're in the administration. I guess you got to do their bidding if you're going to be part of it. That seems to be the tradition in America. You can even quit. And then tell.
And not know. And not necessarily tell what you know if you have reasons.
Well, if you think it's dangerous policy that's hurting America, I think you have an obligation to speak up.
Not if you're being strategic. Not if you
to
think...
save lives on the battlefield? This is about a war. I mean, it's pretty serious stuff.
The whole thing is pretty serious stuff. We're talking about the end of our country.
Yeah, I know.
You have to be strategic. And if you're being strategic, if you're just doing it to make money, that's one thing. But if you are being strategic and you leave, you quit, because you have seen the things that he has seen, you quit and you go to work against those forces, I'll accept you. But you come out, you be a shield for all of it.
Mm-hmm. Which he was.
You admit, I figured this out, and I almost quit a couple of times. Well, you didn't quit. You didn't go out and work against it. You went out immediately and wrote a book so you could make money. And then you went home and did what? I mean, if this guy was going to say, now, on this book, I'm going to mount a campaign to undo the damage. But that's not what he's doing.
Not at all.
He's calling his book duty. You shirked your
derelict
duty.
In your duty.
You didn't do your duty. You didn't do your duty. And I think...
I just can't.
I know you have a child.
Well, I have a child, and I also have a Sarah in New York who every time someone says the word duty, she has to repeat duty as if it's the D-O-O-D-I-E.
Duty.
Thank you, Sarah. And now every time I hear the word duty, all I can think about is Sarah saying...
Duty.
Thank you, Sarah.
That's not childish at all, Sarah.
No,
not at all.
She's an adult, by the way.
Make sure. I tell you what. I'm going to sit you next to Marcus Luttrell tonight when we have the full hour.
And whenever he says the word duty, you can say
duty.
So anyway,
I can't. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It's
a long-standing tradition.
It is. Most of the time it's off the air, and you're hearing Glenn saying some really serious monologue, and then Sarah is in the background.
So
saying,
right now, so Robert Gates is coming out with this book, and I have no interest in it.
Me
and
neither.
As we were in the break,
I don't either.
I realized what it was. Pat went off on a rant like that, and I'm like, you know what? That's it. That's why I have no interest in this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's being presented today by conservatives, and understandably so, as a takedown of the Obama administration.
It's not much of that, even.
Well, some of it,
much of that.
I mean, it does confirm some of the things you believe. Yeah, for example, that both Clinton...
nothing we didn't know already.
Right, but it confirming that this conversation took place, that both Obama and Clinton admitted that they opposed the surge just for politics. You're talking about the lives of troops... the entire future of the war, whether these troops died in vain or not, they did it because of politics, and he was disgusted by it. Again, you got to step down at that point and get that to the American people, I believe. But that is an interesting, and it does confirm something that we all suspected, and now we kind of know. But that being said, you're right. I mean, to me, it winds up being more annoying than anything else. Because if you were there this entire time backing this guy's policies that you believed were wrong, that he was not leading this country in the right direction, you should have done something.
General Boykin is one of the most honorable men I know. General Boykin is just a remarkable man. And I'll never forget when he said, on my set, and I think he said it on air, and if he didn't, I know he wouldn't have a problem with me saying it. He said, it is past time that somebody with actual stars on their shoulders walk in to the Oval and put them down. I cannot do it another day. I resign, and I am going outside of this building, and I'm going to hold a press conference and say why I resign.
For their country.
Right. He said, there's nobody left that will do that. Gates should have done that. Gates should have. Now, Gates will play this little game in his head. Well, I couldn't do that because they would have replaced me, and they did, with somebody even worse. So I did my duty by standing in the line of fire. And then what? And then what? You write a book? You go write a book? Oh, okay. I got it. If you're going to dedicate your life to now reversing all of the things that you were a part of, it's despicable. It's really despicable. Look, I don't have a problem with people writing books. I don't have a problem with people writing books and making money. I don't have a problem with people staying in someplace because they think if I leave, they're going to replace me with somebody even worse. I have no problem with people resigning when they figure out what the hell's going on. I do have a problem with somebody who doesn't go out, resign their commission or resign their job, and then go out and try to repair and try to correct the injustice and the problem that they found. What's he doing? He's writing a book, making money. Then what? Then what? What are you doing then?
And where were you 4 years ago if this was the wrong policy and the wrong people in the wrong place?
Can you imagine what this guy could have done if he would have been in front of a congressional hearing?
Jeez.
Can you imagine what would have happened if he didn't have that conversation behind the scenes? Do you know how many people have asked us if I could get a joint session and guaranteed coverage? I would like to expose some things. They can't get that. He could have. He could have. Guaranteed coverage and a joint session. He could have gone to his people and said, I want you to have a joint session. I want a hearing with a joint session of Congress, and I want to make sure it's televised. And then he would have walked up to Capitol Hill, and he would have said, let me tell you why I'm going to resign, or why there is my aide at the White House right now tendering my resignation. I want the American people to know, and I want Congress to know exactly what I have found and what's going on. Do you know how this man could have changed the world? And then, Mr. Gates, maybe I would go out and buy your book. Maybe then I would actually stand in line and have you autograph your book. The world is looking for heroes. We're not looking for revolutionaries. We're looking for heroes. We're looking for somebody who has the balls to stand up. Somebody who has the balls to say, you know what? To hell with it all. That's what a hero is. A hero is somebody who finally just says, to hell with it all. Something else is bigger than me. Something else is bigger than my bank account. Something else is bigger than my fame, my fortune. Something else is even bigger than my family. What is it? What is it, Mr. Gates, that's bigger than you? Your book sales? Your book deal? Now distancing yourself from an administration you helped? That used you? What did they have on you? Anything? How can I trust you? How can I trust anybody? How can I trust you to tell me the truth about the NSA? Did that play a role in you staying? Has that played a role with anybody in Congress? The NSA still won't answer the question. They still will not answer the question, are you spying on members of Congress? Can we trust members of Congress to tell us the truth of the NSA when the NSA will not confirm that they are not spying on members of Congress? And, oh, by the way, do you trust the NSA? Do you think Mr. Clapper is going to tell you the truth? Do you think Mr. Clapper, even if he was on truth serum, knows what the truth is? The guy was the one who told us that the Muslim Brotherhood is totally fine. And he's the one we're getting our guarantee from on the NSA. I'm sorry, Mr. Gates. I'm a busy man. I get home every day this week. I spent 3 weeks with my kids. We played games. We read together. We watched what's quickly becoming one of my favorite shows, Studio C, together. We would read together in bed. We'd pray together. We played together. We played the World Championship. A lot of people know this. But the World Championship of gin rummy happened at our house. I, of course, was the winner. My daughter and son said to me when we got to the house for vacation, Dad, let's play a game of gin and let's play to 1,000. And I actually said, 1,000? That's crazy. And I meant it. I believe we played to 10,000, maybe 15,000. I get home just like every other person in the last 3 days. I get home and just like every other American, Mr. Gates, all I want to do is play with my kids. All I want to do is be with my kids. All I want to do is study the things that are important. I'm sorry, Mr. Gates. I just don't have time to purchase or read your book. But thanks for the tip that we can't trust this administration. That comes as a total surprise.